Okay, so welcome to this video. In this video we want to start linking multiple accounts. So this is a feature that I wanted to do a long time ago. So essentially right now what we have got is that one user can sign up with different methods. So local authentication is one, Google is another one, and Facebook is third option. However, once the single user logs in or signs up with all those three methods, the end result is that we have three different documents in our database, and that is no good because we want for a single user to have a single document describing him in all the details possible. So we want to introduce this linking multiple accounts, which would mean that if the same user logs in or signs up using different methods, we still maintain this one document per user. And in order to do so, we need to cover two situations pretty much. So in situation one, user, for example this John Doe guy, has the same email that he has been using for pretty much everything, and that is kinda the easier scenario. So for example, he used john.doe@gmail.com to make both Google and both Facebook accounts. So in this situation, if John Doe guy signs up with local account using that same email and then later signs out and tries to sign up with Google this time, well, we can simply ask whether we have someone using this email address, and if the answer is yes, we can simply link this Google account to his local authentication document that we already have made in our database, and we can do that for the Facebook as well. So this is kinda easy approach. We just need to add some additional logic to all of these three methods in our code right now. Situation 2 is more real life based. So for example, this John Doe guy has multiple emails. This is just an example of two email addresses that he could be using, and he made a Google account with this email and Facebook account with this second email address over here. So now things starts to get more interesting. So for example, John Doe signs up with local authentication, maybe he chooses this email, okay? And then if he signs out and tries to sign up with Google, well, that will work because the same email is used for both local authentication and his Google account. However, if he signs out and tries to sign up with Facebook, well, that won't work because we have no idea that john.doe88 is the same guy as john.doe@gmail.com. So because of that, we need to provide some mechanism of allowing users to link their social media accounts once they're signed in. So for example, what John Doe could do is at this point over here, John Doe could sign in using either of these methods, and he could go to dashboard page, and over here we will have several buttons, for example like link with Facebook, link with Google, and upon clicking on any of those, John Doe would be able to link his Facebook account no matter the fact that his email was different for the Facebook. So the same thing could be done over here. For example, even if the same email is used, John Doe could simply create a local authentication account, and then he could just sign in and click that link with Google, link with Facebook, and then he will have all of those accounts linked. So this is pretty much what we will be doing in this video. If this is something that you want to know how it's done, or you need it for your own application, or you're just following this series, well, thanks for watching and enjoy the video. Okay, so we can start working on that situation one. So the majority of things that we need to do will be in this passport.js file over here. So right now, if I actually come here and I create a new account, codeworker@gmail.com. Now what happened is that we've got this one record over here, and it contains our data. Okay, and now if we want to sign up, for example, with Google using the same email address, so codeworker, I just successfully logged in, but if we check over here, we have two documents, okay, and that is not good. So we want to pretty much merge these two. We want to merge all of the Google associated data to this local authentication account because this was the first one. So over here in our Google authentication strategy, after we check whether the user has already created that Google account, we can also check whether the email address is in our system. So check if we have someone with the same email, and then we can reuse this existing user variable and say await user.find1, and now this email is in our local, and then there is this email field over here, so we can say local.email is equal, and to grab this email from our profile, we have it over here, so that is profile.emails, we want first entry and then .value, and then we can simply create another if block. So if the existing user is true, in this case we want to do something. So essentially this means that we want to merge Google's data with local authentication accounts. And how can we do that? Well, we can simply add these fields to our existing user, because existing users will point to this first document over here. So we can say existing user dot Google, and we'll just more or less copy paste these two lines over here, and then we just need to save it. So we're going to say await existing user.save, and we just need to call this done, but we also need to return it, otherwise it will try to execute this code, but we will already be somewhere else, and that would result in an error. So don't forget the return keyword over here. And now we don't really want to return the new user because it only starts existing over here, but we want to return this existing user over here. Okay, so now we can check that. I can delete this second document, and now we only have this one, and then I can sign out. I can simply refresh it out of habit, and then I can try to sign up with Google. And now if I refresh our collection, we still see just one document, but this time it contains both local object and Google object. Now we have this method over here, which is currently set to local. We have it because the way we used it prior, we set it to be a string, and it could be one of these three values. Right now, I don't think this will be useful for us at all. I'll just keep it for a bit, and then we can either turn this into like methods, which could be like an array. So we could have like just like local, or say local comma Google, etc. Or maybe we just want to get rid of it altogether. We'll see that as we move forward with this. So now that we have handled this case, situation 1 for Google, we want to do the same for situation 1 for Facebook over here. So it's going to be pretty much similar. I'm just going to turn this existing user to be let instead of const, because we want to reuse it over here. And then I'll just like copy paste this block over here. We can say we want to merge Facebook's data with local authentication. We can check how they store the emails, profile.emails, so they store it in the exact same way. The profile.id is stored in the same way. We just need to change this from Google to Facebook. So I'm going to steal it from over here. And that's pretty much it. Yeah, so we have handled now the Facebook's way, and we'll test that now to see if that works. Now, sadly, I don't have codeworker@gmail.com Facebook account, so I can't really like add it onto this one. I can create like another account with different local email, and then try to link the Facebook with it. And then we'll see if that's going to work. Okay, so let me create another account. I'm going to use this other email. This is kind of my personal email, and then I'm going to simply type something for the password. Email is already in use. Okay, let's see what's going on over here. So validation error, methods, path methods is required. Path methods, could it be that I maybe, yes, okay, sorry, so you see this. I added S by accident when I was talking about this. Okay, so now we can move forward. So I'm going to use this email address and then simply type something as a password. Okay, so now we've got a different document. Okay, great. And then if I try to sign out and I try to sign in with Facebook, continue logging in. Okay, I am signed in, and if I check this, I still have only 2 documents, and I have both Facebook and local authentication part over here. Okay, so that's great. I think the situation 1 is working, and as you can tell, it was quite easy to set up. And now the fun will actually begin, where we try to handle the situation 2. Okay, so for the situation 2, we have to use some passport method, which is called authorized. So if you remember previously in our routes, for example, over here, we have been using passport.authenticate, and then we pass in the strategy name, and we use it for both Google and Facebook over here. Well, there is this documentation on Passport.js site that says that an application may need to incorporate information from multiple third-party services. In this case, the application will request the user to connect, for example, both their Facebook and Twitter accounts. And when this occurs, a user will already be authenticated with the application, so you will already be signed in when doing this, and any subsequent third-party accounts merely need to be authorized and associated with the user. Because authentication and authorization in this situation are similar, Password provides means to accommodate both, and there we go. Authorization is performed by calling passport.authorize, and then if that is granted, the result provided by the strategy verify callback will be assigned to request.accounts. So we can start maybe by creating 2 routes for linking Google and linking Facebook. So we can say something like router.route, we can say /auth/link/Google, and that's going to be post request to passport.authorize. And then we pass in the strategy name. Okay, and we also want to say that sessions are false. Okay, and then whether we want to forward this to some controller, we probably want, but for now we really don't have to until we get a hang of how this is going to work, I guess. So we can save this, and then what we need is, well, once we're like authenticated over here, logged in on this dashboard page, we need to create like a couple of buttons, link with Facebook, link with Google, etc. So we can start writing that. So we have this dashboard component of ours, and we have just our secret. So maybe we can create say like a, maybe just like why not, like a button. We can say link with Facebook, and we can say link with Google as well. We are going to have on-click methods, and we're going to need to do something like call some actions creators. So we can say on-click, let's just say that we want to this dot link Facebook, and I'm just going to copy it over here, and for the Google we'll have it pretty much the same, just link Google, and then I need to add those 2 methods. So let's say link Facebook, and I'm writing these as a fat arrow function, so we don't have to bind this, so that saves us a few keystrokes. Link Google, and I suppose we can just like test it out, link with Facebook, and the same over here, just with Google. Okay, and then okay, so it's already there. And if I open our console, if I click link with Facebook, we got that, and link with Google, we got that as well. Okay, great. So next we need to write a few actions and connect it all up. So inside of our actions, we have OAuth Google, OAuth Facebook, and sign up and sign in. So let's just grab one of these, paste it over here, for example, and let's say link Google. And then what we need to do is we need to post something. Let me check over here. So we want to post something that's correct. on this route over here. Okay, so we need to use this /link/Google endpoint over here for our link Google action creator. So I'm just going to append it, actually like replace it over here near the end. And then what we also need to change is in our dashboard, this actually shouldn't just be a button, because we need that entire like prompt where the user can actually enter their Google or Facebook details, like we have it over here. So let me just log in really quickly. Okay, so this sadly won't work, so I'm just going to borrow something from here. So for example, let me copy and paste this one over here. So let me copy that, and we need to put it over here instead of this button. And then we also need to change this slightly. So on success and on failure, we want to call this method over here. Okay, and then over here we need to receive something as an argument. So if I see what we did over here, so we call that response variable, and then we simply called the action creator like this. So we can follow the same idea over here. So I can just like paste it somewhere, say over here. Okay, we have response. Let me also see what is in the response, and we'll have some lines similar to that one, and then I can get rid of this. Now we need this Google login. We don't have it up above, so I'm simply going to copy this line, for example, over here, and paste it over here. Now the button should be displayed. Cannot use it. Okay, sure. So let me just comment out that really quickly. Okay, so we see this now, and we have logged in with CodeWorker as a local authentication. So if I click this now, we see this, which is fine. And then if I click anything, really nothing happens. Maybe we'll see the console.log statement over here, and we are interested in this access token over here, and perhaps the Google ID as well. But I mean, Google ID we can get from the backend, so just the access token. So we can now do something like this. We need to turn this into a async function, and then we need to wire up this link Google action creator. For the dispatch part, we will comment it out, because we'll see whether we need to actually dispatch something, and we're not setting anything because we have no need to. We can maybe console.log the output of the response. I'm just going to say like response in action creator, so that we're not confused with the response variable in our dashboard over here. And then let me actually connect it, so we are connecting the actions. So this should be actually good to go. I just need to match the names. So link Google, and so I mean, as soon as I do that, the routes over here should kick in, and then this passport.authorize should call our passport, actually like what we're using as a name, Google token. Okay, so this should be called. Okay, so if we see any of these lines in our terminal, that's good, because we know that it got called with that. So now this should be auto restarted. Yes. Okay, so now if we give this another try, and I choose this one, for example. Okay, request failed, but as we can see, we got called. You see, like I managed to get here and profile, and if I open this, this is profile, for example, the access token, the refresh token, the access token, the refresh token. So this definitely got called, which is good. However, now we need to actually check, like this piece over here, like this whole strategy could get accessed in two ways. First way is when registering for the first time, and second way is when linking account to the existing one. Okay, so we should ask like whether we are authenticated before we do anything over here. Now the issue is that we're doing this in like stateless way. So if you remember over here, we're not using any sessions, and the issue is like we can't really just like ask like is request.user like there, as you probably are able to see in a lot of tutorials, but because we're using JWT, it's slightly different. So now, just to prove this to you, I'm going to try to see like what is in the console.log, see request.user, and I can simply type like request.user, and then to get access to the request, we need to add the following parameter, pass request to callback is true, and then we get it as a first argument over here. Okay, so now like let's rerun it. So if we just like refresh it, let me actually sign out and then use the Google authentication, and I sign in and we check the console. You see that request.user is undefined. Okay, so to actually get access to the request.user variable over here, we need to think what we should do. Well, when we're accessing something that is protected and we want to actually check to see whether the JWT is okay and everything, we are using this thing that we made over here. So we store it in a variable simply because of like saving some space. We store the following line, which says passport.authenticate JWT. Now this over here simply calls this strategy over here. Now this strategy is quite simple. All it does is it extracts from the header our JWT. It also asks for a secret and we provide it to it. And then it simply tries to find a user by the payload sub, and in the payload.sub we actually store the user's ID. Now that we actually have this user, we simply return it. Now we don't really just want to do that, we also want to have access to it if we type request.user. So we're going to simply say request.user equals this user over here, right? And then to be able to access to this request variable, we need to also do pass request to callback true as well, and then we simply receive it as a first argument over here. So now whatever code is executed after this strategy is run, we are able to check request.user and we are able to actually see object in it. So now all we need to make sure is in our routes, we need to make sure to call this passport JWT before we try to authorize this strategy over here. So I'm simply going to do this. Okay, and now magically over here we should see our user. So let me just make sure that I'm all the way to the bottom and I sign out. Okay, I try to sign up again. I choose something. Okay, and this time request.user is undefined, which is fine because we haven't been logged prior to this, okay? But now if I click Google over here, for example, let's see what's going to happen. I click Google. Remember, we're trying to link it with a Google. I select something. Okay, and then if we check over here, make sure I'm all the way to the bottom and I scroll up, you see that the request.user actually isn't undefined this time, but we have some values because we have been logged in while trying to do this. So this is awesome because now we can pretty much branch our logic depending on this. So we can say if request.user exists, like do something else, do something else. So if it exists, that means that we're already logged in, time for linking account. But if it doesn't exist, that means we're in the account creation process, more or less. And now we can actually see what can we do. Okay, so if we're in the account creation process, we pretty much do the following, right? So first of all, we want to check if the user already exists, if the user already has the Google account made up. Okay, then we check if there is same email being used. For example, local authentication, so in that scenario we want to append it. And as a last step, we simply create a new account. And I need to learn how to cut things properly over here. Okay, so that case is handled, and that really shouldn't change anything. So it should be the same as we had it before. Okay, now I can put these console.log statements on top because that won't change anything. But if we're already logged in, it's time for linking accounts. So now the thing is, we can easily access our user by using this request.user variable, and we can, for example, say something like request.user.google and then like add Google's data to an existing account. And we should have Google's data in these fields, so we can do something quite similar. So I'm just going to copy this, for example, paste it over here, and then we just need to like save it. So await request.user.save, and then we just need to like return done, and we also pass in the request.user over here. Okay, so now we can actually test this and see if we made some errors. So I'm just going to like purge everything from our database so that stuff isn't getting confused, and I'm going to sign out. Okay, so now let's do something funky, like let me create local account with codeworker@gmail.com, test123. Okay, so we have one document, local account. Okay, now let me try to link this account with my other email Google account, and let's see if that's going to work. So now I click Google and I choose this one, which has different email address. Let's see what happened. Okay, sadly we didn't really put console.log statements over here, so we can check in our RoboMongo whether this actually took place. So if I refresh this and I open this, we now see that we have local and Google, and you see that emails aren't the same. And now, for example, if I try to sign out and if I try to sign in with like Google this time and I use my email, okay, I'm getting signed in to the same account that is this one. So that is pretty much it. Now all we need to do is to make sure that we do the same thing for the Facebook, and to pretty much make sure that we haven't missed something. And maybe like this styling I really don't like. I want to write some text over here because this really isn't, I mean, if we write something like link with social media accounts below, that can work, but we also want to get like a bit more uniform styling. So let me come to this client dashboard. Okay, let me do the same for the Facebook. So I'm going to copy the Facebook login over here. Okay, let me just unindent it. Let me get rid of it, of this as well. Let me copy the link Facebook. Okay, and then yeah, we need to do pretty much the same thing. We need to copy these two lines. Okay, now this is going to be dot link Facebook, and over here link with Facebook. Okay, it's going to be async as well, let's not forget about that. And then in our actions, we need to create a new action, but we also don't yet have this URL. So in our backend over here, we need pretty much a copy paste of this with slight adjustments. So it's going to be OAuth link / Facebook. Okay, passport.authorize, it's going to be called Facebook token. And then in our passport.js, we need to do similar thing for our Facebook. So if I can find it, first of all, we need to pass that request. So pass request to callback is true. We want to get that request over here, that object. Then we want to check if request.user do something else. Let's do something else. So let me just copy these comments. They're going to be useful to you. So just copy that one. Okay, and this one. I really want them in the repo if someone is following the logic. Okay, so we're in the account creation process. Let us copy pretty much everything, right? So pretty much everything. Okay, I need to indent this. Okay, and if we're in the linking account phase, add Facebook's data to an existing account, we can access the existing account by using this. So we'll simply say request.user.facebook equals this object over here. Okay, and then we kind of need to just save it. So await request.user.save, and then we need to call done like this, but we want to pass the request.user as that particular user. Okay, so now Facebook seems to be working. We can check that in a second. So if I come to our action creators, I need to copy this piece over here, paste it below. Let's call it link Facebook. Let's change it to Facebook over here. Okay, and then let's see what we've got actually. Okay, some error. Facebook login is not defined. Okay, I need to steal it from here. Facebook login in our dashboard. Facebook login. Okay, let's go back. All right. So now our account is linked with local and with Google. So now let's try to link actually with Facebook as well. Your developer. Okay, continue logging in. Okay, so no errors on the backend, which is great. And now if I actually refresh this, we see one document with all of the authentication methods below. So we have Facebook, we have Google, and we have local. Next, we're getting these errors because we're not responding with anything from the backend. And that is because in our backend over here, we aren't really forwarding this request to some controller. So we want to do that. So we're going to create a new method in our controller, users controller. Let's call it link Google. Okay, and then we can copy this and call it link Facebook. Okay, then in our controller over here, we need to write those. We can just use this secret one. And for example, for Google, what was it called? It was called link Google, I believe. So we can simply say respond with JSON, success true, message, say successfully linked account with Google. Okay, and then okay, why is it complaining? Comma, okay. And then for the Facebook, we'll have something quite similar. We'll just say link Facebook, and we're going to change this to Facebook over here. Okay, so now if I click either of these buttons, we shouldn't get an error over here. Yeah, nice. Now the thing is, we currently have no way of knowing on the front end whether this account has already been linked with either of these. Okay, so first of all, let's deal with this styling for a bit, and then we'll worry about that Boolean state and whatnot. Okay, so now I'm looking at this React Google login, and I'm looking at what was different and what was changed. It looks like if we want to use it without styling, we have to pass in this render attribute, and then we actually include our code over here. So let me just try that. I'm going to come over here in our dashboard, and then if we find a Google, okay, yes, I'm simply going to paste it over here, and then let's see if that changed it. So over here, yes, we have, this is my custom Google button. So now we can simply so we have text over here, so there is no need to have this button text over here. Okay, so we can simply write something like link with Google. Okay, and then we can copy the styling maybe. So what have we done for the styling over here? We did this one. The class name, now it needs to be included over here. this button part. Okay, so now let's see. Yes, okay, link with Google. We need to change the other one with link with Facebook. Link with Facebook. Okay, nice. Next, we need to have some sort of a way where if you linked it with a Facebook, for example, you can unlink it. So we need to know on the front end whether your account is actually linked with a Facebook or linked with a Google. So now the question is, in our authentication reducer, we just have is authenticated and the token. Okay, and in the dashboard, we have secrets. Okay, so maybe we want to actually improve on this authentication, maybe add a couple of more things to it. So we can include maybe authentication methods that could be like an array, and it could contain like local, Facebook, etc. So that could be one way to do that. And the other way would be if we simply had like Google like boolean, like false or true, and then same for the Facebook and same for the local. I think I like this approach more because it's more concise. So let's try to implement that one. So we have these authentication methods, and where are we getting that data for the first time? Well, when we're authenticating with Google, we get the data over here, and when we're authenticating Facebook, we get data over here, and we're simply signing up, we get data over here. So we need to change something on the backend. Okay, so for example, sign up. After we have done all of this, we don't just want to respond back with a token, but we also want to respond back with all the methods that this user currently authenticated with. So there are a couple of ways we can do that. We can totally get rid of this method string over here and then simply try to like count these sub-objects, or maybe we can actually call these methods like plural, and then anytime we add a new authentication method to the same user, we simply add like that method's name to it. So this could contain like local, comma, Google, comma, Facebook, and then we can just like send this property, this value over here, and that should be fine. So like let's do that. So if the user with the same email exists, we say that email is already in use, okay? And then we create this methods field with just one value inside, okay? And that's it. Now we also need to change our model slightly. So this methods type is going to be an array of strings, and yeah, we don't need that, and the required is true. So now let's go back. So when we create a new local account, we simply write local inside here. And have I changed that to, yeah, I didn't. So methods, plural. Okay, now when we sign in, yeah, nothing about that matters. This will need to fill in our passport.js file. This will need to fill in our passport.js file. Okay, so hop there. And let's start from the top. So JWT, nothing to do here, it's not creating anything. Google authentication strategy. So let's see, if we're creating it for the first time over here, okay, yeah, we create a new user and we simply fill this array with just Google, because that's the only way it has been so far. However, if we're adding to an existing user, we want to add this .google part, but we also want to do existing user .methods.push Google. And in case we already have Google, we don't touch it. When we're already logged in, time for linking account, add Google to existing account. Okay, great. We also need this part over here, but this time it's going to be in the request.user object, not in our existing user. And for the Facebook, we'll do something quite similar. So for example, we're merging it. Sure, let's simply go existing user .methods.push Facebook. Okay, if we're creating it for the first time ever, we're just going to have like one value in that. It's going to be called Facebook. Okay, and over here we just need to copy this line here, but it's not called existing user. Okay, so that's been like quite a few changes in like half a minute. So let's actually test that. So let me get rid of everything. Let me sign out and refresh it. Okay, so now I sign in with Google, okay, and I chose this account. Okay, everything works. If I check RoboMongo, we see this methods array and we have just Google, okay, and here is our Google. Okay, nice. Now let's say I link it with Facebook. Okay, I check it back again, and this time methods has both Google and Facebook, and we have Google and Facebook. Now let's say I create a new account. Okay, now if I try to create a local CodeWorker account, test123, sign up. What's going on over here? We have just local and our password hasn't been hashed. Let's fix that. So we were dealing with local strategy. Okay, so this is for signing in. The sign up is over here. So we try to create a new user. Okay, and in our model file over here, user schema, before we save, okay, so we need to change this part. So if this dot method isn't being equal to local, then we skip it. Okay, so let's say that if this dot methods dot includes local, so if that array of strings doesn't include a local, then we just skip, because that means that user never made a local version of it. Otherwise, we just do the password hashing and it should be good now. So if I delete this second document and we try this again, so I sign out, I sign up, CodeWorker test123, sign up, I refresh this. Okay, great, so password has been hashed and our method is only local. Now here is where another interesting question arises. So in this example, guys, would you think that it would be best if this local account actually got merged with this one because we have used codeworker@gmail.com, which is used for Google? Or do you think that that shouldn't be done? I think it should be done because it clearly means that you are the same person of that account. So let's make sure that that also happens. Okay, so where should that take place? Well, in our controller, users controller, once we try to sign up, we get a pair of email and passwords, and we check if there is a user with the same email. However, we only check for the local authentication account if it has the same email. And if we find it, we simply say that email is already in use and we don't allow you to sign up, which is fine. I mean, you already made the account, just go reset your password or something, right? However, let's also check if, let me first of all turn this into let because we want to reuse this variable. Let's say if found user await user.find1, let's check if you have made, is there a Google account with the same email? Okay, so let's check by going google.email. Now I'll need to check this. Google.email, yes, equals to email. All right, now if this is the scenario, let's merge them. I suppose so. So to merge them, instead of creating new user, we're going to use this found user and we're going to attach to it local piece, and that's going to be an object. Object is going to be pretty much this, but don't forget, guys, we also need to attach this method to the list of methods. So found user.methods.push local, and then we just need to save those changes. So await found user.save, and then we just need to respond back. Okay, now this will work, right? Why not? So let me just do that over here. So we generate a new token and we respond with the token. However, we don't have this new user, but we're going to use found user for this. So now let me just copy paste this. We will refactor this at some point, right? But right now let's just check if our Facebook Facebook.email matches this current email, and if that's the case, we just do the same things. We kind of need to like not repeat ourselves this much, but for now let's just focus on getting this to work. So also you see this over here, we want to return this, otherwise it would start like executing lines below and it will all break. So let's just go return those, and then in case these things haven't happened, so if this was false, this was false, this was false, only then we actually jump in and do this. So now let us try this again. So I'm going to get rid of this second object. Okay, so we just have Google and Facebook, but I'm going to use, say, Google's email this time. So if I sign out and I refresh this and I sign up with Google's email, okay, what has happened? We still have one document, we have all three methods, and we have Google, Facebook, and local. Now, if I just say get rid of this local part, so let me just edit it quickly. So let's pretend that I never did this. Okay. And this time I use Facebook's email. So I go sign up, I use Facebook's email. Okay, what has happened? We still have one document, we have all three methods, and we have these fields. So now I can sign in with my local account. Okay, I can sign in with my Facebook. Okay, and I can sign in with my Google. Okay, and those are all accessing this one document. Okay, nice. So now that we have this methods array, we can now start creating like link, unlink stuff over here. So to do that, in our backend, once we actually respond back with something over here, we want to respond back with a couple of things. One is going to be token, another one is going to be methods. Okay, now methods is found in new user dot methods. Okay, over here we're going to have token found user dot methods. Okay, yes, I forgot it over here, methods found user, and I can just like copy this and paste it over here. Okay, so sign up is good to go. Sign in, we again want to respond with token, and we want to respond with methods, which are found in request.user.methods, and we're going to do exactly the same thing over here for the Google, exactly the same thing over here for the Facebook. And that's it, right? So now in our actions over here, once we try to like sign up, for example, we don't only want to pass in this response.data.token, but we want to pass in actually everything, response.data. Okay, and then in our reducer over here, that was a sign up one, we can quickly console.log action.payload just to verify that we have it all inside of there. So now if I sign out and I sign up with local, make something up because this one is already used. So action.payload is this methods array and this token. Okay, great. So now we can say token is action.payload.token, and we can say that authentication, well, you know what, like authentication part is kind of redundant because we are in authentication reducer. So we're just going to say like methods, and we're going to say that methods is found in action.payload.methods. So now I can actually do a bit of copy pasting. So let me just copy this. We want to have it the same for the authentication sign in, and for the sign out, not really. I mean, for the sign out, actually, we can still say token, and we're going to say methods is equal empty array or something like that. Then over here, we kind of need to change this. So you see, we don't really want to access the token, we want to pass in the entire data. And for the OAuth Google as well. Okay, Facebook, sign up, sign in. And yes. Okay, so now our authentication is looking good. So on our dashboard component over here, we access this by state.dash.secret. We can also add authentication slice of state and do state.out, and then we can also console.log state over here just to see like what is in it. So now if I sign out and I sign in with, say, our Google account over here, so this is our state. In authentication we have methods. We have that we are currently authenticated with Google, Facebook and local, right? So on our dashboard page over here, we don't really want to show these two buttons because those are found over here. Instead, we want to show unlink those. But I mean, what we could do is over here we can add something, let's say like h2, link your social media accounts, and below it we'll have a part for unlink your social media accounts. Unlink your social media accounts. Okay, we could use line break. Okay, yeah, I know this is like not the best, but like for now it will do. Okay, so now we've got the issue where this clearly works, but it doesn't work whenever we actually like refresh the page. So if I sign out and I sign in again with Google, for example, and we get redirected to our dashboard page, our state, this authentication section contains our method array. However, as soon as someone refreshes the page, that is lost, as you can see over here. And the reason behind that is on the refresh, we're actually like injecting ourselves some authentication state over here. So this is clearly a bit of a problem, because if we wanted to keep it as is, well, then we would need to make some calls in here, so like on the refresh. So actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to move this state into the dashboard, which will also kind of clear up some of our code, because we'll just have like a dashboard endpoint that will return this back to us and not every single one of these. So time for a bit of a refactor. I'm just going to move this into a dashboard state over here, and then over here we want to get rid of this part over here. So let me just cut that. I just want to have one piece of it so that I can use it over here. Okay, we'll also fix this, but for now let me just get rid of all of this. And here, okay, so this looks good to me, and inside of a dashboard we're going to access this secret via action.payload.secret and methods via action.payload.methods. We don't need this trailing comma. And inside of our actions over here, everything actually looks fine, I think. So the majority of things that we need to undo are in our controllers. So yeah, so we need to get rid of this and just have a token being returned. Okay, and this is going to be copy pasted a bit. So over here as well. And for the sign up, over here, we'll also need to refactor this, but I want to do that in this episode because it is already too long. Over here as well. And that should be fine. Now in this secret endpoint, which should be called like dashboard, to be honest, like dashboard, we're going to pass in the secret. I mean, if the secret even makes sense at this point, but I mean, sure, let's do that. So we're going to pass in the secret, and we're going to pass in methods, which could be found in request.user.methods, and that's it, I think. So now we can test it. So if I refresh this and I take a look at the state and the dashboard, I see this method which is empty because we were using this different URL. So right now on our backend we call this dashboard. So in our routes we need to update this to be called .dashboard, and we're also going to call it /dashboard. So in our action creators over here, this get secret one should really be dashboard, which this really, I mean, this kind of makes users dashboard. Yeah, okay. And also we want to, as a payload, we don't just want to return the secret, we want to return every data. And we can also like rename this, like maybe get dashboard, for example. Now we need to make sure to call it via the new name. So in our dashboard component, we can say here get dashboard. So now let's see what happens if I refresh this page and I check the latest state. In our dashboard we see a methods and we see 3 of those. So this is nice because even if we come to this page via clicking, okay, we have it over here, and even if we refresh the page, we still have it over here. Okay, nice. So another thing that I seen is like both the React Google login and React Facebook login has received some updates, and in fact we can add our own custom code in the same manner this time via this render prop over here. So while that was the case with our Google over here, now we can do the same for our Facebook. So I'm going to copy this, paste it over here, and maybe get rid of this text button, and then we simply want to say link with Facebook over here. Okay, so now if I refresh this, okay, looks good. It says login with Facebook. Okay, so we need to change our import statement for the Facebook login. Let's see if that fixes it. Okay, requires a render prop to render. Okay, yeah, the issue is that like we have 2 copies of Facebook and we only added this to one of those. So I'm going to get rid of this line and add it over here as well. And now it works. Okay, so outline primary for the Facebook. I really don't want outline actually because we want to have that disabled state, and that could be hard to tell if it's outline. And I want to get rid of it over here for the Google as well. Okay, nice. Let me do that over here. Button danger, button primary. Okay, this looks good. I just want to add a bit of a margin to the right of these. So let's say margin right 10 pixels, maybe 15 pixels. Okay, so let's include that. So on our Facebook over here, we want to have a style, which is an object of an object. We need to use this notation, and then we just say, is it like this? I kind of forgot. Yes. Nice, so we just need to copy this and paste it to the Facebook below over here. Okay, nice. And now we can actually think about how can we programmatically like disable the states and enable those depending on our array over here. But we also need to change the text over here. So the bottom 2 ones over here should say unlink, unlink, and unlink. Okay, good. So let's think about that. For this button to not be disabled would mean that Facebook isn't found in this array over here. So if the Facebook is found in this array, this button should be disabled, right? So if we do something like disabled equals, and then we can check something. So we can check this dot props dot that methods array. So we can say more like dashboard state dot dash. Okay, so now if we say this dot props dot dashboard dot methods includes Facebook, If that is correct, then we want this to be disabled. Otherwise, we want this to be displayed. Okay, so the issue is that we need to do something. Let me just for a reference sake. So the issue is that we need to pass this thing, disabled equals renderProps.disabled, so that this prop on the outside will have an effect on this button over here, because wait, it actually is there already. Why isn't that getting disabled? Like if I type disabled true over here, for example, Google will be disabled. So what's different over here? Disabled is true, render props, and if I just say like true over here, will it get disabled? Okay, it is disabled. So I mean, we can probably just like do it inside of there. So if I cut this line over here and I paste it over here instead, and we check back, okay, Facebook is disabled. And if I do the same for the Google, however, this time we can do it over here, which is kind of strange, right? So both Facebook and Google are disabled. However, if I now modify our document, just ignore this one. So if we modify this document by, say, deleting the Google sub-object, so say we delete the Google part, and we also delete the Google part over here, and we save this, and I refresh the page and I check the state. Okay, we have Facebook and local, and this time Google is still disabled. Google, oh yeah, because I'm using Facebook, wow. So if I change that to Google, now this one is enabled and we can click it and we can link it with Google. Okay, now this is the issue because right now we're not returning anything, we're not dispatching anything. So because of that, I need to actually refresh it for this to work, but we'll fix that, of course. Well, we can fix that maybe now. So what should happen? So when we link Google, we want to dispatch authentication. Let's say authentication link Google. And we also need to add it in our types over here. So let's say just paste this and then paste this, and then we'll simply replace the text. Okay, so now when this happens, we want to dispatch something, and we actually want to, what will this return to us? Nothing. Yeah, it returns to us whatever we want it to return over here, link Google, right? So what we can do is maybe we can include the methods over here. So we should have access to methods via request.user.methods. So if I do that, and over here, we can grab that, we can see response.data.methods. Yes, and then we also need to copy this. Yes, okay, over here. Well, the thing is, we need to modify our dashboard state. So kind of weird, but we need to do it over here, because that piece of information we really only care about in the dashboard page. So we could have a case for this, and we can simply return, well, we're not returning secret this time, we're just modifying the methods via action.payloads.methods. Well, to keep it in the same manner, in the same form, we can just return everything from here. So now, yeah, let's see what will happen. So now if I unlink myself from the Google, so I get rid of everything about Google, and Google over here. Okay, I save this, I refresh this. We can now link with Google, we can't link with Facebook. If we do link with Google, however, I choose good worker. And now we can't really link with Google no longer because it is over here. So we got that working for Google. We need to do the same for the Facebook really quickly. So we can copy this, call it authentication link Facebook. Include it in our types as well. Okay, and then in our actions over here, link Google, link Facebook, where we want to dispatch something. We no longer really need this cons.log statement over here. And we can paste over here this and then that. And then in our dashboard reducer, we can copy this case. And then we can just say this will no longer be Google, just Facebook. And we also need it over here. So let me just do it like this. Okay, and then yes, let's check for the Facebook as well. So now if I delete myself from the Facebook, oh, actually it's not updated. I need to refresh it first of all. And let me close other shells. So over here, I want to edit this. I want to get rid of Facebook. And Facebook over here, I save this. I refresh this. Okay, now I can link with Facebook. I click link with Facebook. I continue logging in and something breaks. Cannot read property includes of undefined. Link with Facebook dashboard method was undefined. Link Facebook. Okay, methods absolutely the same over here. In our action, link Facebook. Oh, yes. So on our backend over here, we need to do the same for our link with Facebook. So yeah. So success true. Okay, so now, yes, let's like undo everything. Okay, edit document. Let me get rid of the Facebook and Facebook over here. Save and I refresh this. Okay, I link with Facebook. I continue logging in. Okay, nice. Yeah, nice. That works. So now we can actually start working on our unlinking your social media accounts, and then we are finally done with all of this. So to do that, what do we need to do? Well, it's going to be quite straightforward. I think like all we need to do is get rid of the Facebook sub-object, the Google sub-object, and we want to get rid of that Facebook string in that array and Google string in that array. So I don't think we need to do anything funky like using passport.js and stuff like that. We can just like rely on making sure that the user who wishes to unlink with something provides a valid JWT token, and then we just get rid of his data. Okay, so on our backend, we need a set of new methods inside of our user's controller. So we're going to have something called unlink Google. It's going to be async request response next, and it's going to do what exactly? Well, we're going to have request.user object because we're going to preface this with passport JWT in our routes over here using this thing over here. So if we do something like router.route /oauth /unlink /Google, and then we do, it's going to be post, we call this passport JWT, and then we call users controller dot unlink Google, and that's it really. So then in our controller over here, we need to do what? We need to delete Google sub object, okay, remove Google from methods array, and then we'll see return something. Yeah, we'll think about it. Okay, so delete Google sub object. So we can do delete request.user.google. Next, remove Google from methods array. We can say request.user.methods.splice. Okay, so count, we want to delete exactly one element. What do we want to delete? To find the index of our Google string, we can say request.user.methods.index of Google, and then we want to get rid of exactly that element, and then we want to actually like save, let's say like save changes. Okay, so await request.user.save, and then as far as return something goes, well, for now, like let's actually just console log request.user. I just want to see if we actually did it successfully. So we've got this and we've got the URL for that. So let us create a new action controller, creator, sorry. So we have link Google. We're going to have unlink Google. So let's say over here, unlink Google. This is going to be the URL. Access token, yeah, we don't really need that. We just care about that JWT being stored in the header this time. And dispatch, let's not do anything right now. And then on our dashboard page over here, once we click on this second set of our buttons, this Google in particular, let's say on success, well, I mean, yeah, this doesn't really need to be this special thing over here. So we can actually just have two buttons. Yeah, so let me just pull them outside like this and like this. So I need this as well. Okay, I can totally get rid of it all over here. And then a button, okay, class name on click is going to be slightly different. So on click is going to lead to this dot unlink Google, and it is going to be quite similar for the Facebook. So this dot unlink Facebook. Okay, disabled. We need to do something with disabled. However, for now, since we're not having any like render props, I'm just going to get rid of it altogether. And then let us create like these two methods. So we have link, we have unlink Google. Let me just copy paste it over here, and let me actually just copy and paste it for the Facebook as well. So unlink Facebook, unlink Google. Yeah, we're not really getting any response. So this is just sanity check that we actually got here. And then what we want to do is we want to call this action creator unlink Google. We don't need to pass it anything. And for now, we really don't care about Facebook. So we just want to see this Google in action. Okay. So now if I come here, okay, I can refresh it out of habit. And now if I want to unlink with Google, I click this. Okay, so we know that the action creator probably got called. Over here we can see that it got successfully deleted from our methods array. However, we still have Google over here, right? And if I check our database, this is what we have here as well. Why didn't this work? Request.user.google and delete that. Maybe we can set it like request.user.google equals null or undefined. Undefined. Okay, so if we do this, it shouldn't appear in our Mongo database. So let's try it out. So if we click unlink with Google and we check it over here, the Google is gone now. Our methods gone as well. It probably returned. Yeah, okay, let's do it one by one. So users, okay, something is funky with methods, but at least Google got deleted. Okay, so we can do something like this. We can say const Google string position is equal to this, and then we can say if Google string position is greater or equal to 0, only then we want to execute this code. And over here, if request.user.google exists, only then do we want to set it to be undefined. Okay, and then we can save the changes. So now final check. If I just like bring back everything, I mean I'll just bring back the methods over here. So let's say Google, let's say actually like Facebook and then Google. I save this, then I click unlink with Google, I refresh this, it no longer contains Google, but if I click like 5 times or 10 times really, and I refresh this, it still contains local and Facebook. Okay, so this is working, and we can do the same with the Facebook now. So to do that, actually before we do that, let's see if we need to return something. So let's see how we can handle those changes. So we probably want to return something like we did over here. So let's do that. So I'm going to say respond with JSON. We no longer want to see this requested user, and I can kind of get rid of these comments. You kind of understand what's going on over here now. So success true, successfully unlinked account from Google, and the method is, yeah, they are in request.user.method, so this is good. And then over here in our action creator, we can actually dispatch something similar to this, but just like authentication unlink Google. Okay, let's add it over here, and let's also add it for the Facebook. Okay, and then in our types we also need it over here. Okay, so now we have this, and in our index.js file we have unlink Google, unlink Facebook is missing. Okay, so let me copy this and paste it over here. So unlink Facebook. Okay, it's going to be /Facebook. Okay, and over here unlink Facebook. Okay, unlink Google, unlink Facebook. So now in our dashboard, by the way, I think my voice is totally gone from this video. Yeah, it's a really long one, at least unedited. So over here we have unlink Facebook. Okay, and unlink Facebook. Okay, so now I need to check something. So in our controllers, yes, okay, so we need to copy this. And again, I understand this isn't like Jai best practices. We are repeating ourselves, but it has to happen in some other video. This is too long already. Delete Facebook subobject, Facebook. Okay, remove Facebook from methods array. So let's say Facebook string position, index of Facebook, Facebook string position, and then over here we need to, oh, you see this, like, yeah, this is when you don't pay attention. So we need to replace this with our string position. I mean, both would really work, but this is pointless to do twice. Okay, and then over here we can just say successfully unlinked account from Facebook. Okay, so now we can test this. So if I come here and I click like unlink with Facebook, okay, the route isn't found, which I think we forgot to do over here. Right, so we need to copy this and we need to paste it over here. It's going to be unlink Facebook and unlink Facebook over here. Okay, so let's give that another go. So if I refresh this, just to get rid of those errors, unlink with Facebook, I come here, I refresh the first one, so we just got local, and yeah, we don't have Facebook any longer. And if I click this again, nothing really should have changed. Yep, still the same. So now we just need to take care of this disabled property. So if we check our state dashboard, yeah, it's not being updated right now because our reducer, if I'm not mistaken, has no clue about our unlinking state. So if I copy both of these, okay, I paste them over here, I need to add another set over here. So this is going to be unlink, unlink. So unlink Google, unlink Facebook. Okay, this could work. Okay, so it is empty right now. Okay, so wait, I want to link with the Facebook account. Continue logging in. Okay, nice. And this is the state. Now if I unlink with Facebook, nice, and we got new state. which this time it's just local. Okay, great. So we just need to handle the disable property pretty much. So we can steal the code over here, and then for our two buttons over here, we can just say like, okay, let's handle the Facebook first. And also like, let me break it down. It's really a long line. So let's say style class name disabled, and then we have this, and then this is the end of this button. So disabled, if this.props.dashboard.method.includes, if it includes Facebook, we want to be able to unlink it. So this is going to be false then, and otherwise it's going to be true. So right now we are unlinked, I believe. Yes, unlinked, and we cannot unlink, but we can link. And let me do the same for the Google one. So Google is going to be here. So I just need to copy paste this. Okay, and if the methods does include Google, we want this to be visible. Yeah, otherwise disabled. Okay, nice. So right now we've got count with just local authentication. So if I click link with Google, for example, and I choose this one, okay, I can no longer link it, but I can unlink it now. And I can do the same with Facebook. Okay, and now I can unlink both. So let's say unlink with Google. Nice, I can now link it, and I can unlink with Facebook, and now I can link it. Okay, that's amazing. So let's really quickly fix these two buttons, because I really don't like how they look right now. So I'm just going to like steal a lot of code, and it's going to be a really easy change. So for the sign in, we want to import that other Facebook login component, this one. So for the sign in, let me get rid of this and paste this. And for the sign up, do the same thing. Okay, next for the Google, I want to copy this render part. So I'm going to come to sign in, find the Google part, and get rid of this button text and add that. And in the sign up, I want to do the same thing, find the Google, get rid of this text, and paste this part over here. Now it's not going to say link with Google, we can just say like Google. And in the sign in, we can just say Google again. So just Google. And now key requires a render prop to render. Okay, that's because we haven't yet modified the Facebook. Okay, so we need to now copy this render prop for the Facebook component. So the sign in part, get rid of the text button. Okay, paste that, and in the sign up, get rid of the text button and paste that. Cannot read property methods of sure. So we need to totally ignore the disabled part over here. Okay, and over here. So yeah, and also change the text. So over here we just want to say Facebook, and over here we just want to say Facebook as well. Okay, so now it looks good, sign up looks good, sign in looks good. Let's just quickly test it. Well, okay guys, that's it for this video. It was really long video, we accomplished a lot. I am going to get rid of some of these console log statements and maybe add a couple of more comments that are useful, and then I will push this to the repo. So I'm really happy with this. If you guys have any like objections or suggestions on maybe like what we did wrong or what we could improve, if anything, please write comments down below so that we can maybe tweak that in some of the next videos. The goal really is that we have this solid backend that we can work with. And yeah guys, thanks for watching. Hopefully you're liking this series, and I will be seeing you in some of my next videos, so stay tuned for more.